What is up, guys? Jyles here from Jyles FBA, and today we're having on Anthony. Anthony, what's up, dude?
Hey, how you doing?
Good. How about yourself?
Good. I'm excited to talk about my journey in FBA.
Awesome, dude. Okay, well, let's start right off. What is your current journey in Amazon FBA? How did you get to where you are at today?
So I guess I'll have to go back a couple of years. I got it started out in just sneaker reselling, just trying to make money on the side. I did that for a while, and then I ended up being one of there was this bot called Wrath, and it was really good, but I ended up becoming one of like the earliest users. And just because I was one of the early users, I really understood the bot. I ended up working with the bot. And so I kind of took a step back from sneaker reselling, and I was more focusing on like providing customer service and doing their marketing. And it was really successful. Over 2 to 3 years, we amassed like 100,000 followers on all social platforms. So that's kind of what I did before, Amazon FBA. But the thing with sneakers was that it was really starting to die down. Retailers were not really, being reseller friendly. They were being super weird with cancels, stuff like that. The sneaker market in general was just kind of dying down, especially with COVID. It was just like, there's not, people didn't have, side money to go spend on these, expensive pair of sneakers, stuff like that. But what they did spend money on is their essentials, right? And that's where Amazon FBA came in. So I was looking into Amazon FBA as another side hustle to do because I just wanted a side hustle. And I started talking to Jyles. I saw his group, and so I was like, "Yo, Jyles, like I've been trying to get into Amazon FBA, blah blah blah." And he was really helpful with helping me kind of get started and getting my first couple of products in. And so I think back in February, I started my store. I started my store, and it was a slow month at first. I think I look here. Yeah, the first month was only $1,000 in sales, but that first month was kind of a tester to kind of see, what is the FBA process? How do I get my units checked in? How long does it take how long does it take from me buying a specific product to actually being able to sell on Amazon? So I wanted to kind of see firsthand how that would be. And it does vary, of course, but like generally I saw like 2 to 3 weeks from purchasing to actually getting it into Amazon and selling it was the common thing. So I decided, okay, 2 to 3 weeks, that's enough for me to leverage my credit lines. And so I started leveraging my credit lines, and the next month we quadrupled sales. We hit $4,359. And that was good. But again, I thought I could do more. And then I decided, you know what, I'm going to go even harder with the leverage and just try to scale it up.
Yeah, for sure.
So in my final month that we were running that specific store, and I'll go into why we stopped that store later, we got $16,000 in sales. So again, another quadruple. So we quadrupled every single month. So that really goes to show like what you can do when you actually are, taking the time every day to source and stuff like that. Like out of that $16,000, I think we made about $3,000 to $4,000 in pure profit, which just goes toward product, and then eventually, trickling down to paying ourselves. So I say plural ourselves because I was working with 2 other partners, and this was because all 3 of us were kind of interested in doing it, but we didn't really know, we weren't really sure if it was going to be successful or not. We wanted a way to de-risk ourselves. So
Yeah.
instead of putting more money in and running your own individual store, we split it by 3. We split the company by 3. And then, we ran it together, and it was great. It was a great process. But the thing with FBA is you probably should do it on your own, at least online arbitrage. And I was doing it on my own. Or now I'm starting to do it on my own. I'm starting to ramp up my my new store now. And I've gotten about I think $1,000 in sales so far, and it's been the first 2 weeks. So yeah, so definitely starting that ramp up process again. I would say it does take like a month or two to fully get into the kind of to get in the run of things.
Yeah.
But but that's kind of where I'm at now. So yeah, it's been a good journey, and I'm excited to grow.
Okay, so a few things I kind of want to hit on, I guess, more from that. You mentioned leveraging your credit. So if you can
Mhm.
kind of go in a little more depth about talking about what cards you use and essentially what is leveraging your credit for the people that may not know.
Cool. So, before I mention what cards I use, I'll say leveraging credit is basically using your credit lines. Um, you know, you may apply for a card and they give you a credit limit of, let's say, $10,000, right? But in my business bank account, let's say I only have 2,000. Okay, so I have potentially $8,000 in excess of credit that I can use to buy product. And you might be saying, oh, what if I don't sell that, within the 30 days to pay off my credit card? So that's where I got this card called the Amex Plum. And the Amex Plum was really great for cash flow because instead of having 30 days to sell these items, I would get 60 days. And that's huge because, Amazon FBA is all about cash flow, getting a product in, getting it all sold, and actually getting that money into your bank account. Cash flow, cash flow, cash flow. That's one of the biggest things that I learned as an FBA seller. So um, yeah, knowing that I wanted to leverage credit, I got the Amex Plum, and I originally got the Capital One Spark because of virtual cards, and I use these virtual cards because there's a lot of products where you can get auto ship and save, and a lot of the time, you'll forget to cancel the subscription, and you're like, oh damn, now I got this expensive product that I can't really make money on, I can't really return. It's just kind of in a messed up position. So what you can do with a virtual card, and that's what Capital One provided me with. They had a virtual card option. You can set the card to expire. So literally, I would set the card to expire a day after I would make the purchase, or actually, it was like a week after I made the purchase to make sure it ships, and then I would, yeah, the card would cancel, and they couldn't charge me, and I could totally forget about it and have the peace of mind. So yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. Speaking of like the subscribe and ship, did you get that from sneaker reselling? Because I'm assuming that idea probably just didn't come into your mind about getting, oh, I'm gonna get Capital Spark and I'm gonna sign up for BCC. I'm gonna have it expire a week after that. Where did you kind of come up with that? Did another seller mention this to you? Where did that transpire?
Absolutely. So I was always aware of virtual cards because of sneaker reselling, because you would have to buy basically like one shoe on each card or else you would get cancellations on your orders. But I didn't really make the connection to use these virtual cards with auto ship and save. And then I was talking in some of the members in Jyles FBA and some of the staff, and they were saying, oh yeah, you can use VCC, do auto ship and save, set the expiration to a week after your purchase, and then that's how you could save a lot on your cost per unit and trickling down to making more money on your bottom line.
Nice. Yeah. So you mentioned Giles FBA a lot, which is our group. How important is it starting off to have like-minded sellers, experienced sellers that you can kind of go to right off the rip and be like, hey, like, there's no dumb questions here. So just essentially any questions you have, you can go and hop in premium chat, hop in questions and just ask anything, any questions you may have about selling on Amazon, and they get answered like that. How important was that for you starting off?
Absolutely, it's huge, honestly. Like you would say, as someone that's never done FBA, oh yeah, keep close with your own products, like don't tell anyone, don't really, don't really network. It's like, it's kind of what I like to say is like a zero sum mindset. Like I can only, if someone else gains, I can't gain too, that kind of thing. So what's nice is in FBA, your network is actually like really huge. So just being with like-minded sellers, first of all, not only, let's go before the support and all of that, but you get people that you get to kind of compare your stats with almost and be like, oh, this guy's doing this, this, and this. Okay, I'm going to DM him and try to figure out what he's doing differently than me, and try to grow my own store from those kind of tips. And you build these connections with people, and then you start sending things that you find with each other. And FBA is Amazon is so big where you can be selling the same product as 20 other sellers, and you could still all make money. So having a close network of people is great, and you get you know it's kind of like a kick up the ass for you to actually just get motivated and work more. I like to say, like, you're really the average of your friends or the close people around you. So just being around these people that, are big, we have big sellers in Jyles FBA, and seeing firsthand, what these guys are doing helps a ton. Okay.
Oh
So
yeah.
that's the network side of it. There's also the support side of it. When I was first starting out, I didn't really I just didn't understand much about, how it works and stuff like that. And the other, the staff and, admin and even the members, they're very helpful as well. They've been doing it for months or even years, right? And they know this. So instead of me, spending my own money to try to figure out these questions, I can just simply ask them and get my, problem solved for free, or they can kind of give me clarity. And, yeah, basically what ungated means is you need, for certain products, you need to be approved under the brand to be able to sell their product. And so a lot of these brands, they require invoices, right? And a lot of the time when you first purchase a lead or a product, you can't get 10 units, which is what you need to get ungated. So you can only get, let's say, 5 units of the actual product that you want to sell. And then you would have to go find another product under the same brand, buy 10 units of that, and submit that invoice to be able to sell the product you initially purchased. And so just being able to talk to other people that have already gone through that process, they can literally link you the product to buy and to be able to get ungated quickly overnight. Huge. And I know there's services out there that, charge $500 to $1,000 to just get ungated in one brand. So yeah. It's really there's a lot of value with that that comes with, being in the Jyles FBA group.
Yeah, that's awesome. So with your online arbitrage journey, I guess, are you doing strictly online arbitrage, or are you going into stores and doing some retail arbitrage as well? Can you kind of give me a rundown on what that looks like from a day to day?
Absolutely.
Okay, sweet.
Yeah, absolutely. So on my first store that I was working with my friends, we used to do a lot of retail arbitrage actually. And it was kind of fun. It was almost like a social thing. I remember when we were going for sneakers, we would be, standing outside of stores waiting for these shoes to come out and buy them. Similar mindset. So, for example, there was this product at Dollar Tree, Golly apple cider vinegars. And this is another thing about, being in Jyles FBA. A member, posted that the Dollar Trees are selling these, Golly vitamin gummies at the store. And so we have 10, 15 Dollar Trees, near our location. So we literally we divided and conquered, right? Each of us went to 5 different Dollar Trees, and we literally got, I think, over 100 units of these Golly apple cider vinegar gummies. And I think we made, it wasn't much because it was a Dollar Tree item, but we made a couple $100 just from, a day of work, right? So think about it. Your common average job is making what, $15 to $20 minimum wage. We made we made more than that in just a days of work. So yeah, that was what we were doing with my original store. And nowadays I'm doing strictly online arbitrage, just having the comfort of just being at home and running your whole business just from the computer is so nice. So I do prefer that. Also, gas is expensive nowadays, so so yeah, I don't really prefer driving and going out, but definitely when people are starting out, I would actually recommend to do retail arbitrage because you actually see what's selling and what doesn't. There's stores like Marshall's or Costco, Kroger's, Ross. There's so many stores where you can make a bunch of money. These mom and pop shops, stuff like that. I would definitely recommend if you have any stores like that near you, go check them out because there's definitely a lot of money to be made with that.
Nice. Also, with you doing online arbitrage, are you sending these products to yourself, or do you have a prep center in a tax-free state? How are you handling your prep for Amazon FBA?
Right. So where I'm based, we have, I think, 8% sales tax. So it's quite expensive when you're buying, hundreds of dollars worth of product and you're paying 8% sales tax. That could be $50 and just tax that just goes away. That's money off of, that's an increased cost per unit. And, everything at the end of the day is how cheap can we get these products so that we can make more profit on our, listing. So, when you have such a big sales tax state, you would often save time and money going through a prep center. So I used a prep center, which was $2 a unit. And so I would compare, okay, if I use a prep center on $2 a unit, would I make more money sending it to the prep center, or would I make more money sending it to myself and prepping myself?
Yeah.
And a lot of the time, actually, I was saving time and money, like I said, just sending them to the prep center. So that was what I was doing with my original store. And especially when, you're sending in so many units to Amazon, it takes up a lot of space, honestly. I don't know if you can see, but I have tons of, I have tons of boxes just, ready to be sent out and stuff like that. But it does take up a lot of space, and, space, square foot, it's expensive. So,
Oh, yeah.
so, so, using a prep center was great for like storage and stuff like that. Currently with my current store, since I don't have too many products, I am prepping myself. I have all of my label printers set up, my poly bags, everything like that set up for myself. But yes, once I scale, a prep center is absolutely essential.
Okay, so you mentioned scaling. That was actually my next question. How you plan to scale? So, like you said, you started your own store, 2 weeks ago? You said you have $1,000 in sales. I'm assuming your units are just now getting checked in.
Yeah.
So you haven't seen too much volume, too much sales yet, just simply because you don't have units checked in. So, what's your next step? What's your 3 month? What's your 6 month? What's your year? What's your 5 year looking like for the Amazon FBA business? Is this gonna just stay a side hustle for you, or are you trying to take it full time? Just kind of go more in depth about your short term and long term plays, I guess. Just how do you plan to take this to the next level is what I'm trying to get at.
Yeah, cool. So basically, I would say, I guess the biggest thing for scaling is just finding more leads and finding more product. And, I was able to get with my previous store, I was able to get $15,000 in sales in 1 month just from, purchasing leads that were sent in Jyles FBA, sourcing myself, stuff like that. And after doing that, after my bottom line, I got $3,000 in profit, and that's great. Like if you think about it, like $3,000 might be your cost of living, completely, completely good. You can keep all your money from your job, stuff like that. So there's their side hustle aspect of it, and that's probably more towards where I'm leaning, because I'm not sure if I want to take it to the point where I have to, have employees finding leads for me, like virtual assistants, which I'm sure we'll get into. But virtual assistants, working with prep centers, stuff like that, scaling towards, $100,000 months. I'm not sure if I want to do that, but I'm unsure at the moment about it, to be honest. But I'm going to take it month by month and see how it goes. Right now, my current goal in my mind is get to that 15K number, because I've done that before. I know how to do it. I know what it takes, and I want to get to that 15K number and then kind of see from there. How much hours am I putting into this business? Do I want to put more hours into this business, or am I happy with my current, scale, and just, maintaining that scale and something that's comfortable for me? Because at the end of the day, if I can just pay for my cost of living through Amazon FBA from only putting let's say, 5 to 10 hours a week, that's great.
Yeah,
that's great. Not many people can do that working, 40-hour weeks. So yeah, we'll see where it goes. But yeah, definitely I want to get to that 15K number. That's my next goal.
I like that. There's plenty of people I know that are in Jyles FBA that I just know through Twitter, Instagram, whatever, socials, that have a 9 to 5 and they just do this as their side hustle. They're making anywhere between, let's say, $500 and $5,000 as just extra monthly income, which can be used for however they want, vacations, buying material, objects, just however. So yeah, Amazon doesn't have to be your full-time gig. You don't have to scale it to $1 million in a year. You can just kind of take it slow and maintain, and then just make that side cash, which a lot of the people are looking for that. So
yeah, and that's what's the nice thing about it, to be honest. So personally, some background about me: I'm a computer science major. So there's thankfully a lot of money in tech and stuff like that, and I want to be able to pursue my career. But a lot of people, they're kind of scared of starting a business just in any kind of field, because they're afraid of the risk. There's risk involved. Like, okay, I can't leave my job because, I have a mortgage to pay, I have bills to pay, whatever, right? The nice thing about Amazon FBA is you can do this by only putting in 5 to 10 hours a week and just finding a couple products and your cost of living is done, your rent is paid for, your whatever is paid for, and on top of that, you have a nice stable job, and it's just the way I like to see it is like, it's just a nice bonus that doesn't take much work, and it doesn't even necessarily have that much risk associated with it, as long as you're kind of being smart about your finances, especially with your credit, right? Can you pay down your credit? And that's where the Amex Plum comes in, right? So the Amex Plum, like I said, there's 60 days, and that helps, right? Oh yeah, I have 2 months basically to sell my product. That's plenty of time. With a lot of the products that I'm getting, the products are already advertised for us, that there's already advertised spend. I'm listing my products on listings that already have all of that, advertising being done, that already have tons of sales volume on it. So, just having that in general, it's literally like sneaker reselling was. Buy the product, buy a shoe, sell it on StockX, collect the money. Same thing with Amazon. Buy the product. Let's say, I bought, um, some makeup, right? I bought some makeup for $10. I sell it for $20. Okay, I keep the $10 profit, or let's say $7 profit after the Amazon fees, and boom, rinse and repeat, rinse and repeat, rinse and repeat, and then I could keep my job on the side. So yeah, that's definitely where I'm at.
Yeah, I like that a lot. Let's kind of shift gears a little bit. What softwares are you kind of using? What's your monthly, I guess. Oh, what do you have to pitch out monthly on software? Obviously you have a professional account, so that's $40 a month. What other softwares are you using?
Yeah, cool. So yeah, besides the Amazon professional account, which is $40 a month, I have a software. Well, I guess I'll start out with what I use for product. I like to call it, the holy trinity. I use SellerAmp, Keepa, and SellerBoard. So basically what SellerAmp does is, I can go on a product, I can see how many sales a month it has, I can put how much the product costs me and how much profit I would be making after fees and everything. And it's very convenient. It's just a Chrome extension that goes right on Amazon's listing. And so yeah, that's what I use for, just checking if a product is profitable. Keepa helps me, especially with, looking at what's the sales velocity of an item. What are the charts? Like, is Amazon on this listing for a long time? Usually I try to steer away from Amazon being on my listing because they can get the product much cheaper than I can, right? They have, they can buy in much more volume. They're probably doing wholesale. They have private contracts with these companies, whatever, right? So I'm finding products that Amazon has usually never been on, or they haven't been on for, a couple months. And so after that, that's what Keepa is really useful for. And then I use SellerBoard, and SellerBoard basically gives me, a really clean dashboard of how much money I'm really making on products. So, for example, it shows you, what you've made today, what you've made yesterday, month to date, and then like last month. And then it also shows one thing I really like about it is it shows you a forecast of what you're, going to be able to achieve, or what SellerBoard software thinks you're going to be able to achieve in the whole month. And so I use that to kind of, judge my purchases, or judge, where I can spend some more money towards, where I can spend money towards, like, different softwares, like a repricer, for example. And I'll get into that in a sec. I also use something called Finaloop, which actually does all my accounting for me. So it's kind of a nicer QuickBooks because it directly integrates with Amazon.
Really?
Sales. Yeah. So it changes it to cost of goods sold once an item is sold, stuff like that. It does all the categorizations automatically for me. Their support team is on top of it. And it is more expensive than QuickBooks, but it's way cheaper than an accountant. And basically replaces the need for an accountant. Yeah, so that's $65 a month. And it's really nice. I would recommend anyone looking into that to check it out. You can connect, if let's say you also have a Walmart store, for example, you can also connect your Walmart sales flow or your Shopify sales flow. Kind of have everything, in one place, which is really nice. I also forgot to mention I use a repricer, which is really essential for, staying on top of sales, basically, because if I'm priced so much higher than other listings, my product's not going to sell. So it's especially when you have a lot of listings, you need a repricer to automatically price based on, certain conditions that you set, matching the buy box, which is, that big add to cart box on a listing. stuff like that. So Be Cool is $25 a month. I don't use the AI stuff generally. I don't really like it. From what I've seen, it kind of just drags it down to my minimum price that I set at Be Cool. So I set up, based on some YouTube videos I watch, I've set up some repricing rules, and it really helps sell product. Like if you're struggling to find product and you don't have a repricer, get a repricer, because I assure you that will help a ton, like more than I even realized. So yeah, get a repricer if you don't have one. I would definitely recommend that.
Yeah, that's a great tip for people struggling to sell. You don't want to sit at your computer all day and reprice every hour. Be Cool, like you said, $25 a month, really affordable. I personally use Seller Snap, which is more on the pricier side. It's higher end. It's supposed to be one of the best, which I've found is the best for me. But essentially, you have to be pushing that volume to basically make it worth for you to use that repricer. But if you're just starting off and you are struggling selling your SKUs, your products, your units, then I would definitely suggest Be Cool as well, actually. So
Yeah,
yeah.
absolutely.
Okay, so I'm sure you made some mistakes along the way. If you were to highlight a few of the big mistakes, just so other people that are getting into Amazon can kind of avoid these, or do more research about them, so they don't run into the same wall that you ran into. So if you have any mistakes on the top of your head that you can just highlight, that'd be awesome.
Yeah, absolutely. So one thing I mentioned earlier was I was leveraging my credit line, right? And with that comes basically like a time period of when I need to sell my product. And so I have 2 months because of Amex Plum, but sometimes I would buy, or originally when I was first buying a lot of product, I was buying product that I, didn't make the listing for beforehand, and I wasn't sure if I was ungated in or not.
Okay.
So yeah, so I was buying the product and I was just, I was thinking, oh yeah, like I can sell this instantly. No. So I would have to wait like a week or two for the product to deliver to my house. And then I would realize, oh, I'm not ungated in this brand. So now I need to go buy an ungate product. So now I have to wait another 1 to 2 weeks for my ungate product to deliver for me to submit that invoice to Amazon to get approved to sell under that brand. And that's a month gone, right?
Yep.
So already, like, that's a lot of wasted time. So I would definitely make the listing before, so I can see exactly, am I ungated? Do I need to buy an ungate product right when I buy my product? But buy them both at the same time if I need to. So that was one big mistake that I made that I'm a lot better at now. Another mistake that I made was, I wouldn't necessarily call it a mistake, but something that I don't really want to do in the future is doing a lot of FBM.
Okay.
And basically what FBM is, doing all the fulfillment by yourself instead of getting it done by Amazon. So I would, like I said, these boxes were all for FBM. I would be packaging the products. I'd be using that bubble wrap looking thing to bubble wrap all my products. Stuff like that. Like, it's good, you get more money, but I was spending a lot of hours, just trying to package and ship out these units. Shipping is also a lot more expensive when you do that, because one of the good things about FBA is you can send multiple different SKUs in one box. And what that does is, it makes your shipping cost per unit really, really cheap, especially if you, kind of batch them all together. So I would be spending maybe, on the lighter item, like $4 per unit. On the heavier side, $10 per unit.
Yeah.
That's huge. That's huge, cost that you have to associate with it. And it's actually, a lot of the time you end up saving time and money, like I said, similarly to the prep center, when you just do FBA. And it's just nice it's just nice being able to, live your life and, not being worried about, oh, I have to ship these units now, or else I'll get, a late shipment rate, which, can cause my account to get closed or stuff like that. Like, there was a lot of stress involved with that, and I didn't really like it. So yeah, getting that done by FBA was really great. Those are probably the two biggest, mistakes, I would say. I guess another mistake would also be not using a repricer in the first place. Yeah, a lot of my products weren't selling because I was kind of manually just, trying to list my products or price my products appropriately, and it didn't really work. It wasn't really scalable. So getting Be Cool was huge for me.
Nice. Okay. To kind of hit on FBA and FBM shipping a little bit more, FBA shipping, like you said, you can send tons of units, and it's roughly, depending on where you're located, to the Amazon fulfillment center you are shipping to, anywhere between 30 cents per pound and 50 cents per pound. And like Anthony was just saying, for when I'm assuming you're using USPS first class for those FBM shipments, you're paying $4 to $6 depending on where it was going.
Yeah.
And then for those heavier items, he was paying up to $10 for a label. So whenever you're doing FBA, if you can get 50 units into a box, you label them up, you prep them, you slap on a sticker, and that label can cost you $15 for 50 SKUs, and you send them on to Amazon FBA, and then Amazon FBA fees are built into the shipping labels that they ship out to the customers. So you're not paying an additional label whenever you sell your item. The only label you pay for is the one that you send all the units to in that one box or multiple boxes to Amazon FBA. With FBM, you're paying for every individual SKU. So keep that in mind, because people will get seller amp and they'll see, okay, I'm flipping on FBM, I'm making 40 more percent or whatever it may be. But
Yeah.
I feel like beginners will sometimes be like, oh, I'm not including my $4 shipping cost, $6 shipping cost, $10 shipping cost. And then that can kind of get them in definitely a difficult place right off the get-go. And then they realize that, like, oh, I've sold 50 units and I'm losing $2 a unit on them. And it's like, oh, well, there you are. You're out $100 when you thought you were making $5 a unit.
Absolutely.
And that's another thing with having seller board. I mean, you can implement those costs in there as well.
I would also say real quick, another thing about FBM is you also have to realize, what do you do with returns, right? So I was getting a lot of returns. Amazon, I think it's a 90-day return policy. So I was getting a lot of returns, and I was actually the one that had to incur the cost of a return shipping label. And so now think about it. Now, instead of FBA, I could send 50 units for 30 cents or to 40 cents a pound. I'm sending my unit for $4 to the customer, or maybe even like $5 to $6 if it's like a pound, right? And then if they return it, I spend another $4 to $6 on a shipping cost. And then it's like you're losing money on that product anyway. So you should have just done FBA in the first place. So like that's a lot of that's another mistake, I guess. A lot of returns are happening, especially with things like Stanley cups, where they can get dense and stuff like that. I was getting a lot of returns, and those are heavy as well, right? So definitely FBA, I would just recommend to beginners, just do it. Trust me on this, just do it. It's probably the better option.
Yeah, I 100% agree. Also with that, whenever you send FBA and say you do get a return, returns will happen. I find for myself, for like normal everyday items, anywhere between 6 to 8, maybe 10%, with shoes and clothing closer to that 15% mark. Well, basically, whenever you send to FBA and you get a return, they'll send it back to the fulfillment center. Amazon will inspect your item. If it's deemed sellable, they'll put it right back into your inventory and you can resell it. If it's deemed unsellable, they'll send it back to your house and you have to liquidate it another way. That's actually a question I want to ask you. Have you been liquidating your used returns? If so, how have you been doing that? I personally, I mean, you can see all the junk back there. I am very lazy with liquidating. It usually just sits back there and I'll give it away or donate or whatever. So if I was better with liquidating, I would definitely use eBay, Facebook Marketplace, all that stuff. But personally, how do you deal with returns that you have to liquidate another way other than Amazon?
So I personally have been really lucky about returns. Like I think I've only ever gotten one unfulfillable like stamp or something. So super lucky. But I will say, what's another thing that's nice about this business is there's been times where I'll spend like $100 on, like, let's say some type of conditioner, and then I can't sell it. I'm not making money on it, so I request a refund or a return. And a lot of the times, for some reason, the companies, they don't even like make you return the product, and you just give you a refund. So all of a sudden I got 10 conditioner bottles for free, so I'll give them out to my girlfriend's family or my family and stuff like that. So that's something I will say. That's another great thing about doing online arbitrage.
Yeah, that happens a lot with liquids. Obviously, when you buy off Amazon, or not Amazon, after like off of Target, Walmart, all those, Say they send you an item and then it's a liquid, like you said, like conditioner or shampoo. They don't
Yeah.
want the back and forth because transit, say that bottle bust open and then now they have a huge mess.
Yeah, exactly.
So yeah, you can't find yourself getting free items at times. And then
Mhm.
obviously anything you said you're giving to your girlfriend's family or your family
Mhm.
or whatever. Obviously that's great. If you can sell it for whatever profit, then you're all in the green there too. So that's pretty
Exactly.
sick.
Exactly, yeah.
Um, yeah, I mean that's basically all I got, Anthony. You covered all that stuff. It was great sitting down talking to you. Um, and yeah, good luck on scaling, maintaining, whatever you do with Amazon. I'll always be there for you if you have any questions. So,
Awesome. Thank you, Giles. And I just wanted to mention, like, you and the group were such a big thing to, helping me scale, helping me have the confidence to, achieve a certain amount of scale that I wanted to achieve. And just being in a like-minded network of similar Amazon FBA sellers was huge. So if you're kind of, i- if you're, if you're kind of scared about, the risks involved with Amazon FBA, join the group. I promise we'll kind of clear things up for you and we'll make sure that you are actually successful because, I can tell you firsthand, I was scared and I joined Jyles FBA and I became successful because of their leads and their support. And it was great. So definitely, consider joining.
I appreciate that. For anyone that wants to get more information, check all the descriptions below. Go to our WAP, Jyles FBA, and yeah, get more info on that. Thank you, Anthony, for coming on once again. I hope you have a great rest of your day.
Awesome. Thank you.
See you guys.